Hello, hi, good evening, guys. I thought I'd take this evening, it's a little quieter, to do this video, the weekly preview that essentially we're going to be running in line with the Traders Club. So what we're going to be looking at is a cable, actually some really interesting stuff on cable, and I've got my own ideas. I was trading this towards the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, and I got a pretty decent move. I was intraday trading it, so there you go, but I'm also keeping an eye on the overall picture. Now what's interesting, you obviously looking at my chart, you can see I've got up cable on the daily chart. So I've run my Fibonacci tool. Now for those of you who follow me around Elliott Wave, you can actually see here that we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. Now when I was doing this, I remember we saw a similar movement on Euro Yen and also Euro Dollar. So again, we've seen this kind of move in these pairs going to the upside, and this was obviously a very good point to kind of sell at for a correction. And now obviously we're retracing upwards, looking at this point like we are going to come very close to testing the highs. Right, so there is a good chance that we see, and also if you look at the volume, there's a sign of strength that came in on this candle to break the 200 exponential. So in my opinion, I think we are probably going to come and test the highs. So I'm looking at this and I've got a very good opinion in terms of IE being at maybe 157 thereabouts. But I'm looking at this level. Obviously there's a pivot right here, so it's another good kind of area, so very close. I would be eager to get long now, but it's still, obviously we're looking at a daily chart here, there's a lot of movement. So it's quite an interesting one. But I mean, if you were watching this move and then we came into the 50% retracement and then we bounced off, right? So initially it would have been risky. If you wanted to get into the trade about here, you'd have probably thought, well, look, we've seen a bearish move all the way down. It wasn't really, kind of a good trade. But if you look at the candles, so let's look at the candles there. As we were going down, we're seeing the spreads narrowing out, and the volume was still pretty much still at a peak, which suggests that we're getting some stopping volume. So there's some climatic activity coming in as the price is racing to the floor. So despite, we were getting punched up, so there was someone buying up this position at this point in time. So this was a strong response, in my opinion, a huge attempt to buy up this position from higher time frame players. So here we are sitting on the 50% retracement, which is awesome, and then we pushed back, and then away we go. So again, if you've got in a trade, maybe a limit order or something down here, it would have been a good trade. So once we started to come in and we started to see this action, and you'd put a limit order with a bit of conviction that you get the 50% and it'll be good. I mean, there's other ways you can look at it. I mean, for those guys who are into Wyckoff theory around demand and supply, you can clearly see here that as we rolled in, we got what would have considered some kind of automatic kind of response as the market came in, punched a low and reversed, and then we got a test again, sort of secondary test of the lows, and then we punched up. So we're coming back out again. We might circle here for a while, so a couple of tests and then roll back down again. So yeah, but I don't think this is like the start of a major bull run, but we shall see. I mean, it's a 50% retracement, so it could also mean that we're probably going to get into a really big move with sterling. So if I zoom out the chart on the daily, I mean, we're clearly at some kind of significant bottom. So if we do come and break the highs, then it's likely we get 160. Yeah, so I mean, right now it makes sense to be quite bullish. Yeah, but as we were heading for the top, we can clearly see that there was clearly a very strong rise in volume. There was some climaxing as we got into these areas, but look, I mean, the rally hasn't really been strong to the downside, and now the rally up is even weaker. So yeah, it's a tricky one. So I think at this point we're just correcting, and we're gonna probably come to test the highs and then eventually turn over. So this is actually an interesting one, sterling. So if we turn over, likely we come back into these sort of levels, 150, if we're going to make a play again for the upside. So I think we're at a critical point in terms of direction when considering sterling. So if we go to even a weekly chart, pull that out. There we go, hold on. Stick that back in again. We don't want it to jump out on the chart. There we go, it's attached back in. So, where are we? So if we look at the weekly position, again, we've got our Fibonacci retracement on here. So we see the market come in, struggle on the 55 exponential, and then it's bouncing between two retracements. So again, it looks very bullish. I personally would like to see it get above this sort of level, 156.40. You know, with some strong volume for me to be confident that we're going to see maybe even 159, 159.36. So the weekly is generally saying to us that we're going to probably find some resistance here. It's very close to the 50. So this sort of area will be an area to watch for the potential sign. But I think there's a bull move here on the weekly chart anyway. And if we are lucky, we catch the 61.8. If we're even luckier, well, of course, we start to come into these sort of areas. So yeah, I'm quite keen. And by the way, these are constructed off the Fibonacci expansion, so you guys know what I'm looking at. Yeah, so let's pull this and rotate it down, and obviously these are key levels that we were considering. So again, oops, hold on, let me stretch this out. There we go. So alright, so these are our key levels that we were considering, and as you can see, that's where we're sitting. So yeah, so I'm paying close attention, to be honest, to sterling, because I know there's a big move, and it's not over yet. We've got some more action next week, so should be good. And if we go into the monthly, if we want to even really know what the bigger time frame's doing, I mean, well, we've been kind of sitting at this bottom. So here we've tested, so we've had several tests. You know, we had an automatic response, we got a secondary test here, and then we pushed up again, a couple more tests, and then we're back down again. So I'm expecting that we probably might roll up at this point, find the sign of strength here. We've seen a lot of volume piling in now at this point, and it's a low end, so this might be it. And if we're lucky, we drum up all the way back. I mean, first target round about here, we should see a response at these levels, 164, 165 maybe. It's been a reasonable area for a response before. If not, we get 168, possibly these sort of levels. So I think this will be a strong level, really, 165 if we do get there. So really interesting for sterling, and obviously as you can see, we tested the trend line, broke, and we're holding, so we're back above, which is for me is a very bullish sign. If we didn't clear the trend line and head lower to test the lows at 134, then it's a bullish sign that we're probably going to at least start coming back up. And 160 seems to be jumping out at me. You've got the 55 here at 160. You know, it's formed a very good support base before, resistance base before. So we've had it here, we've tested it here, and now we're coming back to test it again. So again, if we break it, even more bullish, but I'll keep an eye at 160. Obviously for higher time frame sellers. So if you're intraday trading, these are key levels that you might want to get short on, because you know you're going to get at least a short-term reaction, which could potentially make you some money. So again, that's it in a nutshell. So that's key. That's what I've been looking at. Forget the yen pairs this week. I just thought I'd give you guys a bit of a snapshot on that. Now, if I'm going to pull over from my other screen, by the way, I've got my trade copier running on. So obviously I take my trades intraday on one of these kind of MT4 stuff, and that feeds directly into my C trader, which is going to receive the signal. It's a pretty cool tool actually, MT4 to C trader. I love it. It's made my life so much easier because I do like to use, because I don't have a market profile, which is what this is, on C trader. So for those of you who don't know about market profile, when I run my live trading room, this is where we do a lot of our day trading from. You know, who needs a chart anymore. So again, obviously it's been a lot of trouble to get hold of. For those of you who know about market profile, you can generally use this stuff on the futures market. Getting it on MT4 retail product is a pain in the ass, and I've got it. So yes, I can actually use my MT4. Other than that, you need either Ninja, and you need to get a plugin as well for it, and that stuff costs money, to add it onto Ninja Trader, or you might have to use one of the other platforms like Thinkorswim, which obviously they're huge on futures trading as well. So futures traders only ever use this stuff. So again, there you go. But it's a good way, obviously, of taking. I don't have my composite here. Normally, I'll have the composite volume on the side. I don't have it now. I'll put it on some other time. But ultimately, we're looking at time price opportunities, and yeah, it's just another way to look at the market. So again, this is what we're using on day trading. You know, this will be a whole nother video or tutorial if I was going to show you how market profile works. But ultimately, for me, I got a pretty decent trade out of this. I was long on this day. This was when Merkel started going on about the euro needs to be cheaper or some shite like that. Politicians, they always come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyway, so people started shorting the euro, and that obviously had a flow effect on sterling, so it started to roll lower. And right where we have this tail print, obviously we saw higher time frame buyers step in. So if we were to go back and rotate to our charts on here on the daily, clearly, obviously, again, we were sitting on the 200 exponential, so we got a response from higher time frame buyers at that level, and it was quite interesting at that stage. Obviously, as we came in, we tested and sat above the 200. So usually, when we see the profile behaving this way, we know that we've got a higher time frame buyer here, and I've got a higher time frame seller at the top. So obviously, these guys, this is the control point in the market, wherein these are the guys who are going to hold in the business. And we have the point of control, obviously, where the most TPOs were traded, and we were having an inventory imbalance at this point, right at the base here. So as we started to stack up, for me, it made sense to be in a long position and to have my stops under the previous day's value area. So again, it was a really good trade. So by the time we opened in New York, I had a lot of confidence with the tail print. You know, by the time we were into L period, it sounded like a very good long for me. And yeah, and obviously we blasted all the way to the top. As you can see, this is the New York print. We've got the London and we've got the early Asia. So again, so whilst we were bearish, as you can see in early Asia, but by the time we were coming into New York, it was clearly a fake move, and this was just a suck in weak sellers, and that was what the news was all about. So the market maker took full advantage. So yeah, but got a nice decent trade up on this, and it was the similar pattern. Obviously develops the other day, and obviously we can see the higher time frame buyer here from the tail print. And obviously the good thing about TPOs is the fact that you can, you get a good mirror of the futures market. So what I've done is coded in the sessions to coincide with the pit sessions in Chicago, because obviously a lot of these spot markets are actually mirroring the futures market. Ideally, you'd want to trade some of this stuff on the futures side of things, which I do a lot of for other clientele. But yeah, for the purpose of my live trading room, of course, a lot of you guys use MT4, so I'll be using MT4. And I'll be just copying a lot of my currency trades onto CTrader, which I use for that. And yeah, we won't be doing any futures trading in the live room. Not for now anyway, we'll come to that at some point, but it's an additional market. So I'm hoping to get another buddy of mine who's a futures trader, who's traded at the highest level of the futures market, and hopefully he can spend some time in the room and cover futures for me. But it's time dependent. Yeah. But in a nutshell, guys, I thought I'd give you guys this look into sterling. Let me flick over the market profile again and bounce back to where we are. So yeah, so there we go in a nutshell. But that's my outlook for sterling, guys. I'm incredibly bullish. I can actually see at this point some strength here. The market is weakening, granted, so I know we're nearing the top, but for now I'm kind of short-term bullish. And for day trading, I'll be looking at the profile to see what the real demand and supply is doing during events. But yes, guys, well, great again. Thanks for listening, and here's another weekly preview down. Have a great weekend.